All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Sweet Spot. This is your host, Ryan Embree. Thank you so much for joining us, for listening to us, to watching us wherever you are finding us here. We are here at the Content Creation Studio for another episode of TMG Hospitality Trailblazers. I am so excited to bring in my next guest, certainly a Trailblazer, Oliver Winter, founder and CEO of A&O. Oliver, thank you so much for jumping on the Sweet Spot with me.
Thanks, Ryan, for having me here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about A&O, all the initiatives that you guys are doing, and this incredible growth that you're seeing. I think you bring a really unique perspective. But for those that have not listened to this series before, this is our TMG Hospitality Trailblazers, where we spotlight those individuals and management companies, groups like A&O that are really trailblazing the path forward. So we have the pleasure of speaking with Oliver today. But Oliver, before we get into everything that we're doing right now, or even what's in the future, I want to start with the past, because this is one of my favorite questions we've been doing this series, which is almost a year old now, is tell us a little bit about your hospitality background, because we have such unique stories in our industry that I feel like rarely get told, right? We all talk about the exciting things that are happening right now and maybe in the future. But a lot of us in hospitality, you had some very unique backgrounds before we got to the place that we were. So tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to ultimately founding A&O.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, happy to do this. As a young man between school and university, I had time to travel around the world and came in touch with this hostel concept in many different countries. And what I saw, I liked really much. So affordable stay, with a warm shower, safe bed, kitchen to share, place to hang around, and a place even very easy to come in touch with other travelers. So back to Berlin then in these days, I started to study to become a teacher. So far away from hospitality background. Yeah. And in parallel, during my studies, I investigated the Berlin hostel market. And there have been, in this time, just non-commercial providers, like YMCA, YHA, etc. So no private independent hostels. Mm-hmm. So and with a lot of patience and little luck, of course, as well. So 23 years ago, then I founded A&O in Berlin, opened a 164 beds hostel. That was the very beginning, 164 beds. And it was from the first moment, it was great success. And so then I stopped my studies and focused to grow this company and adding more beds, first in Berlin, later then in other cities in Germany, and then in other European countries. So today, we're running 28,000 beds in 9 European countries.
That's absolutely incredible. And your story resonates with a lot of the trailblazers that I've had on this series where, they're in school or college, university, and all of a sudden they find this passion in hospitality and customer service and hosting people. And that certainly resonates with your story and that incredible growth, which we're going to talk about here. But love to hear that background. I'm going to stay kind of in the past before we look more towards the future, because up to this point, one of my favorite questions on this series has been about the lessons learned over the past couple of years, right? I think it's important to talk about what happened, even though sometimes we shy away from it, because it is something so unique that hasn't happened in our lifetime very often. And the lessons that we learn from it really shift our entire industry. So up to this point, we've really had kind of a domestic US view of those lessons learned from the pandemic. I think you have a really unique perspective that you can share from a global view in A&O. So what were maybe some of those lessons, and have those lessons kind of shaped your vision for A&O in the future?
Yeah. So I can let you know from European perspective, with the European glasses. So we see as well as the world has changed, and what we see that we travel much more consciously and for shorter distances, more domestic than before the pandemic, and on a more sustainable ways than a few years ago. And I think at least in Europe that this trend will continue. So this behavior also shapes our mission. We will continue to offer environmental friendly travel in the future by becoming net zero as early as 2025. Maybe we speak later about this a little bit. And And on the other hand, of course, we're working every day on our cost leadership, yeah, because that's really important. That's key for our product, to continue to offer the best value for money as a price leader. And since inflation kicked in, I think all over the globe, into everybody's pocket, what we are observing is that people are becoming much more price sensitive again in these days.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard these terms right in 2021, revenge travel, everyone cooped up trying to have experiences. But we might be getting to that point now where, travelers have had that really big trip, or they've maybe done a couple of these small domestic trips, like you've said, that and kind of stacked one on top of the other. So they almost feel now like, okay, I've had these experiences, and now they're just being a little bit more cost conscious of their trips. Now it's all not like the YOLO, it's more like, let me figure out let me go ahead and figure out what's the best value. They're looking at things like sustainability initiatives, I think, and determining their trips based off of those practices, which we're going to certainly get into a lot because you guys are a leader in that. But they're being a lot more cost conscious and value driven as far as saying, this is where, and pointed where it's like, this is where I want to spend my money. This is what type of experience I want to have. So let's fast forward to today, because this is where travelers are at right now. Kids are back in school. We're in the midst of the fall, going into what historically has been a slower season for our industry, winter. How does your marketing and messaging change for your group of hostels and trying to attract demand and capture travels?
Yeah, sure. So after really fantastic high season, we had. You're right. We are now turning into more challenging off season. Same for A&O here. That from, let's say, November to February, that's our off season.
Mm-hmm.
And in winter, of course, city hotels fight harder for their guests. That's why we have currently launched a low price campaign. So from November to February, we offer our dorm beds for 14 euros flat. So really, really affordable. We're playing this campaign multi-channel. What we do as well is we also working on promotions around all these Christmas and these famous Christmas markets we have in many destinations we are in, especially in Austria and Germany. What is really liked from our international guests to visit all these Christmas markets. And in the group segment, we are during winter period traditionally we are very successful with a 4 for 3 special. So it means you book 4 nights and you just pay for 3. So and really never before we have had so many groups with us in the low season. So and for example, for next January, February, so Feb 24, we are already 30% in plus by group bookings versus same time last year with revenues on the book. So that's what we see. That seems like even was a very nice trend and quite remarkable that groups travel more in off season now.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Maybe they're able to look for that deal. I feel like, one of the things what we talked about, revenge travel, we always talk about it from the leisure segment of individuals or, families and leisure, and saying like, I didn't get that family vacation that I wanted, or that getaway vacation that I wanted. But I think there's an element of revenge travel when it comes to groups as well. And you're seeing that, with businesses and groups that have said, I've done my individual, traveling. I want to travel with like-minded people in a group, in a business setting, and go somewhere unique. So I think there's that element of revenge travel as well. I think that speaks to those bookings that you're seeing, and fantastic to see. Let's focus on that solo traveler though, because I am seeing kind of the rise in trends of the solo traveler. Different publications, LinkedIn articles that I'm seeing. 2024 really is kind of dubbing it as the return of the solo traveler. Kind of talk about how at A&O, you cater to this segment and how you guys are a really good fit there.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's absolutely correct. So we see this big trend as well. Yeah, so we see this, and of course we are happy about this because we think for solo travelers that these hostel ideas is so to say made for them. Yeah, because what means hostel, that's easy to meet. Yeah, and so especially for single backpackers. They can easily meet in the hostel kitchen, in the lobby bar, at our co-working tables, and it's easy to come in touch with others, exchange ideas, etc. So that's how new travel friendships are formed. Yeah, and in numbers, so 12% of our bookings, or this year 750,000 overnights, are done by solo travelers at A&O. And to support this trend this year, we have improved our female dorms. This is a product for single woman travelers, and we improved this rooms, for example, with better hair dryers, more light, bigger mirrors, and of course this issue of safety is very important for single travelers, as we know, and we ensure a safe environment. That's really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly at the forefront of the last couple of years when we're talking about health conscious, but also just safe travels in general. I mean, that's the first thing that you certainly want to feel when you're traveling is being in a safe environment there. So seeing that you're catering to that, absolutely critical, and it's great to hear that you are putting that at the forefront. But it's not just for solo travelers, though. We talked about already the group business. I think my solo, with 2 kids now, I think my solo travel days might be behind me. You guys do a great job on the A&O website of catering to, things like groups. You've talked about, I've seen colleges on there, families. Talk to about this segment as well. When people think hostels, they think solo travelers, but you can have a group also travel and have a really great experience there as well.
Yeah, that's right, and I think this complements each other very well, and because price and safety is also important for groups and families. So in marketing, we use different channels for groups. In this group segment, still a lot happened via traditional tour operators because group travel is a bit more complex. As quite often it involves transfers, catering of entrance tickets for 20 to 40 people, etc. But here also half of our groups already book direct with A&O. Direct here means a lot even via phone or live on the web. And to come to the families, here I think price is a special focus at A&O.
Yep.
This is where we score with the A&O family room, because in every A&O, about half of the rooms are in this category. There's always a twin bed in and at least one bunk bed, one or two or three bunk beds. So, and children and families love this, because they just have to book and to pay for one room, and they have the kids under control. You have your own kids in the same room, like the parents or the grandparents are.
Yeah.
By the way, of course, in these days today, every A&O room always has their own shower and toilet in the room.
That type of experience certainly caters to a family. And I want to get back to the point of booking directly. And I think that's really unique because you think with groups, with how many logistics are involved in a trip that size, for them to be booking direct means that you're really creating a type of seamless experience for the group, making them feel like all those logistics and things are taken care of. So that's fantastic that you're able to do that. And you're seeing that because that is any, hostel or hotel operator's dream is to get those direct bookings rather than coming through third parties. Now, as you know, Oliver, this series is called TMG Hospitality Trailblazers, and A&O certainly has been trailblazing a path when it comes to sustainability and green initiatives. Can you share a little bit more about the mission that you spoke to earlier and the goal you're trying to hit?
Yeah, very happy to do this because that's really one of our most ambitious tasks. Yeah, we are on it. So yeah, maybe let me start with looking short back. So at A&O, we started quite early to understand or recognize that our footprint per overnight is much lower than in a traditional hotel. What is, yeah, if you think about it for a moment, it's quite obvious, yeah, because our guests need much less space per bed. We don't have any amenities like sauna or pool or minibar or even aircon.
Hmm.
So and when we started to track and to understand our footprint, that was first time in 2015. We had already a little 10 kilograms, so 9.8 kilogram carbon emission per guest night. And to compare this with economy scale hotel overnight, it's 25 kilogram. Yeah, to give you
Wow.
a benchmark.
Yeah.
So a little 10 a day, no. And then, thanks to our employees, we collected from the employees 200 points action list to minimize our carbon footprint. And about 100 points, so half of this are done. So this has brought the footprint down to 3.8 kilogram today, from 9.8 to 3.8, so less than the half.
Wow.
And then during pandemic, we had I would say a wow moment. So remember, in the early beginning of this pandemic, when we all been asked to stay home, stay home to flatten the curve. And what happened? We stayed home, and the entire world, so all societies. And when you traveled during this time, I remember, that you did it hidden and silent, So this one moment for me was that in a few weeks' time, a society developed something I would call travel shame,
Mm.
And I just thought, imagine, this will happen again due to climate concerns. So maybe then not in weeks, but maybe over years. So
Yeah.
so we need an answer, to avoid this travel shame, an affordable, sustainable accommodation offer. And for us, it was then clear, not by 2040 or 2030, and we need it now. And then we discussed this internally and decided really all hands on deck. Let's get it done until 2025. So what we're doing now is we will melt down our footprint to below 3 kilogram per overnight until 2025, and then from 2025 ongoing, the rest will be we will offset with gold standard certified climate projects.
Wow. That's an incredible feat. I love the background of that story as well. You make a fascinating point about that. We're actually seeing more and more of that. Even in the whole industry of travel. I mean, even when you're booking a plane flight, it will show you your emissions and it'll show you your green costs. And corporate companies now are looking into that when they're looking into they're actually having a green budget and a sustainability budget for the years to come. So that's a fascinating point that you make. And with this podcast, we've had entire episodes, Oliver, talking about how to market these green initiatives, because a lot of the operators, hotel management companies, property operators that we talk to, they've either had to implement green initiatives or they're starting to do it, and they might think of it now as this is something I have to do, but it should be embraced like what A&O is doing and being like, this is something I should do, going to benefit the traveler as well as myself. So how do you make sure that you market these green sustainable initiatives to your travelers?
Yeah, I think we communicate this topic quite clearly and transparently. As of course, we are even proud of pioneering here. And we, as I explained, we want to be net zero in less than 2 years from now. And we have a clear road to zero strategy to achieve this. So, and this strategy, for example, is explained on the web and even physically in the hotels. We have a lot of explanations at the walls with wallpapers, etc., and signs to show how we try to achieve it. We have this fantastic footprint value of this 3.8 kilogram per overnight today. Yeah, this is absolutely top value. And for example, we show this on each offer, yeah, on each invoice, on each offer we're sending out. We show the guest footprint at
Wow.
A&O, yeah. And since 4 months, we have also been we've been offering our guests the option of volunteer compensation to offset the entire overnight stay and
Wow.
fund into a great climate projects, yeah, when booking on our website. And what we also started, so since this year, we're publishing a sustainable report. So first one was published summer this year. And here you really can find in very deep details what we did, what is pending, what is next on our list to achieve these goals by acting better. And this covers all 3 columns then of ESG, so environmental, social, and governance. Yeah.
That is so cool to hear, Oliver. I would love to get a hotel invoice and actually see, this is the sustainability impact that I've made during this stay. I think that's something that a lot of travelers value. I think that's something that they would almost gamify and try to be like, I'm going to try to get this number as low as I can, and it makes you feel good. It makes the operators, it probably makes your culture and your employees feel good that they're a part of something bigger than just running a property or a hostel. I think it's just absolutely fantastic what you guys are doing over there, and it's certainly paid dividends. I follow A&O on LinkedIn and seen on other digital channels. You guys are having a record-breaking year in 2023. Congratulations to you and your team on that. With such remarkable growth, and this is always what interests me about these companies that are doing it right, clearly, because they're seeing a lot of growth. How do you stay true to why travelers love A&O, but still prioritize growth and scalability at a corporate level?
Yeah, those are good questions. So we are, of course, very thankful and happy about this strong bounce back, yeah, after pandemic, and even this year. So I think as a budget provider and cost leader, we take benefit from our strategy. First, grow occupancy, and then second, grow the rate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if demand struggles, like for example, in beginning of this year, Jan, Feb, I remember, or August this year was even not so pushy, like because this pent up demand from last year was over. And if we have moments where we see demand struggles, we can, and what we do is lower the price. Yeah, and this always pays off. And in 2022, we hit the 2019 revenue. With don't forget, in 22 we had still 90 days less in full operation, because it was still the first months with some operational bans. Mm-hmm. 23 we are growing now again 7% versus 22. Yeah, and regarding your question about brand consistency, so 2018, 2019, just before the pandemic then kicked in, we started and finished to refurb and rebranded A&O. In total, we invested in this 2 years 40 million, yeah, into a total new and consistent look and feel, and into the brand. And even the good side of this pandemic, if there's a good side, so to say, then
right.
this 2 years we used to adjust and really simplify our staff training. So, for example, what we did, we created more than 40 trainings videos, yeah, lot of tutorials, etc. And what we're doing since pandemic is over, compared to before, it's much more frequently trainings. Yeah, and I would say these frequently trainings with the staff, ongoing maintenance, and a really good communication in house. That's key for us.
Yeah, that certainly goes back to those lessons learned that we talked about at the top of the episode, about saying, it was really the common thread that I'm seeing between a lot of these companies that really rebounded very quickly after the pandemic these were the companies that were not sitting on their hands during that time. They were actively doing something. There are some hotel companies that we spoke to. They were on the purchase. They were going and trying to acquire as much as they could. I think a great use of your time, instead of the capital investment, time investment into your training, so that you kind of saw the other side of this, knew what was on the other side, and said, how can I be the most prepared for when this is over? Because I know there's going to be an end to this. How can I be most prepared? And I think it was those companies that really were able to rebound, and certainly A&O has been able to do that and seen that in the results that they saw for this year, and hopefully as we go into 2024. But I want to talk about the culture, because that's the other side of it, is the companies that didn't sit on their hands, that were really active during the pandemic, but also companies with really strong cultures. And we're going through industry staffing shortage right now, where we are trying to figure out how can we get more people into our business. There might be a ton of Olivers and Ryans that are in college that didn't even know hospitality existed, and we've got to kind of shake them and be like, we've got this great career for you over here. And a lot of that hinges on culture and actually wanting people. I would imagine that people would love to work for a sustainable company that's making an impact like A&O when it comes to green initiatives. But tell us a little bit about A&O's culture and how you guys are leveraging that, during this time where it is tougher right now to find hospitality workers.
That's true. It is much more tough. And so about the A&O culture, that's maybe it's not so easy to answer in one sentence, of course, because there's not the one and only thing. But right. I guess, I would say it's a mix of respect, low hierarchies, attitude before skills, and I would say maybe most important for A&O, it's no vanities. So this was, even to give you an example, during pandemic, when we did a lot of other tasks. So everyone did what had to be done during that time. No matter if this role was defined in the employment contract. And so right. I would say each for each, really. And even what A&O is standing for as a company. So we really love to act quick and resolute. We love quick, fast decisions. We allow errors. I think that's even very important to do this. And in the end, I would say we are solution orientated, so not problem orientated. And sometimes, to be quite frank, we prefer quick and dirty instead of nice and never.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. We had a lot of on this series alone. We had a lot of corporate people that were saying, "Hey, during the pandemic, I had to, get down and dirty. I was cleaning rooms. GMs were cleaning rooms, and everybody was kind of all hands on deck." But I think the employees that kind of stuck through that, and the companies that had that vision that we talked about, to say that when this is over, they feel more connected during that time. I know I certainly do with our organization here, having to experience that, because we talked about it. That was hopefully once in a lifetime moment for us. That if you're, we felt connections to a lot of people during that time that were all feeling that same exact thing. So strong cultures and active vision for the future, certainly a strong asset for A&O. As we come to 2023, looking to 2024 now, what's your vision for the future? Obviously, we've got that goal set for 2025, but what's that vision for the future for A&O?
So for 2024 now, so the most focus will be really to affordable travel price, because Europe's travel budgets are all strained by this recession we have here, and these really high energy costs and cost of living in general. What raised up. So we really want to counter this with low prices. So I think that's the most important strategy for 2024. And we also want to continue our growth in Europe. Yeah, so adding more hostels to our chain. So to achieve this, we're looking for a lot of existing projects we have on our table. In the future, we will focus much more on takeovers of existing hotels because it's quicker.
Yep.
And even, of course, going this road of conversion of office buildings as well. And yeah, overall, as it looks like, we expect 2024 will be a great year for travel. Yeah, so especially for budget travel for us. Our group bookings, I mentioned before, that's for us, it's a very important segment. And here we have a long view in advance because groups starting to book now already for 2024.
Yeah.
And we already have for 2024, we are 30% in plus compared to same time last year, yeah, by group bookings.
Yeah, I think those group bookings are going to continue to get further and further out. Over the last couple of years, groups were very hesitant about saying, hey, let's do something a year from now, because they didn't know what a year from now looked like, right? And it's a lot to plan those trips and then to tell everyone, hey, we're not doing this, or we're changing last minute, blah, blah, blah. So I think they kind of, that travel window was very, very short with groups. Now we're getting more into a normalized pattern where you'll continue to see those groups book further and further out. So it's important from a marketing side to certainly be prepared for that. But it sounds like a lot of exciting things that you guys are still positioned for growth, adapting to the environment around us with inflation, and the recession. So, certainly keeping those factors. So adaptation, I'm hearing a lot of, but certainly position yourself for growth. So congratulations again, Oliver, to you and your team. Any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
Yeah, if you allow, I would coming back once more to the environmental sustainability. Yeah, so to use this, even this podcast here to make a call to the peers. Yeah, so start with acting more sustainable. Yeah, don't be afraid, and yeah, it will pay off multiple times. So the low hanging fruits, really saving costs. Yeah, the employees will in the future, they will demand actions like this, and they will, what you pointed out before, yeah, they appreciate companies acting more climate friendly. And of course, in the end, the guests will demand more and more climate friendly or climate neutral projects. So we need, the entire industry need green travel offers. Yeah, so let's all start with this journey.
I agree. I'm right there with you, Oliver. And we talk about all the time. I make a parallel to social media and reputation. And I tell I tell hotels, just start small. And I think it has a very easy parallel to what you're talking about there. Adding recycling initiatives, things of that nature. The small things add up. And you can get your employees caught up in it. You can get your guests caught up in it. And it's a great way to obviously, if we want to talk, dollars, marketing this stuff also, it pays cost efficiencies. But really at the end of the day, there's also, we've got to take care of the environment, and there's a greater purpose to that. So I think it's a win-win-win for everyone there. So really happy we landed on that last note to wrap up the episode. But Oliver, I want to thank you for joining the Sweet Spot with us and being part of this TMG Hospitality Trailblazer series.
Thanks, Ryan, to give me this opportunity. That was a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you to listening for us. We will talk to you next time on the Sweet Spot.